Hey everybody, well, happy Monday. Welcome to Drag Racing Live, where we get to bench race with the world's top drag racers. My name's Bill Pratt. It's great to be with you tonight. Of course, John Bachman with us tonight as well. But this week on Drag Racing Live, we welcome veteran drag racer Shane Westerfield, the 2025 NHRA Heritage Series Funny Car champion and one of the most versatile drivers in the top alcohol ranks. Over a decade in top alcohol funny car to his championship run in Nostalgia Nitro, Shane joins us to talk about the evolution of his career and what it takes to win at the highest levels of sportsman, pro, and heritage racing, plus boats. We'll toss that in as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's bring him in. Shane Westerfield, welcome to the show.
Yeah, guys, thanks for having us and for having me here. And I'm excited and talk a little bit about what we do here in the drag racing world.
But you're all over that. I was looking on the drag racing list this week just to make sure I had all your cars in my mind. Oh my gosh, you've been all over the place. So we'll talk a little bit about all of it. But have helmet will travel. But let's talk about the big event here. You just wrapped up the 2025 NHRA Heritage Series Funny Car Championship. What did that mean to you to win that title after such a long career in the sport?
It was great. I've been a huge fan of the nostalgia funny car for years, and obviously watching Bucky Austin, always had an incredibly competitive racing program with what other driver he had, and had numerous wins with Bobby, obviously. And we were in a turning point with our alcohol car. I shouldn't say mine, Kathy Jackson's alcohol funny car. We weren't racing as much, and I was still going to the races to watch these guys. And I had a few friends out there running the nostalgia side, Jeff Moniz and Eddie Knox, boat guys, boat friends of mine, kind of watching them go. And I had a short opportunity. I drove Eddie's car actually one time, kind of got the bug. I'm like, man, this is cool. And there's a lot of cars to race, and it's fortunate the alcohol side right now, it's a little bit slimmer, but it's coming back. So I got a call on just in a random, August midday one time. Bucky called me to go drive his car, and I was kind of stunned and put this program together real quick and showed up the first race and we won. Showed up the second race and we won. And there was actually a chance to win that championship that year, being that I drove Eddie's car for one race and ended up having to smoke the tires the last race of the year. But it was such a long shot, to pull that off. So going into 25, that was the goal. Win the championship. We're here to win. We're here to set records. We're going to just kind of rip their hearts out and go out to the first race of the year, the March meet. And we're qualified number one. We're going rounds, but there were a couple cars that were running a little bit better than us. And it's not the Bucky Austin style, And going in the final round, I was getting outrun by the Matthews car and took a shot of the tree and red lit, and gave the race away. Ended up outrunning them, better speed, better mile an hour, or a better ET, and just lost the race, gave it away at the starting line. And that one hurt for a while, And then we went two more races on the legacy racing, the national events, and same thing, just we weren't winning, man. And I'm like, how was it I hop in this car then, last year and just not knowing anybody? I don't even know their two guys' names, and we're winning races. Now it's like, it's go time. We're here to win. We're going to win the championship. We got to do, keep our head down, keep going. And so it took a second, but then we roll into Boise and it was, Bucky Austin fashion, number one qualifier, and just set the track speed record, almost the ET record, won that race, go up to Canada, win that race, go back to Boise, kind of struggled a little bit, ended up in the final, and then roll into Woodburn. And the car just fell in place, man. Just didn't qualify well, found an electrical problem the night before. And in the heat of the day, rip off at 5:56. Next run 5:58, which that got us the championship, and that was pretty cool. I mean, we wrapped it up in August; it was done. So it gave us an extra couple months of basically celebrating that whole deal, And then that rolled into winning the Legacy Championship, and then on the national event side. So double championship there, back to back. It came quick basically because I didn't, I have raced as long as some of these other guys, but the team has, and they have a lot of championships. They know about winning championships, and that was my second championship per se as far as car racing goes. So it was pretty surreal. It was a lot of fun. We celebrated for a while, took some time off, got to go do the banquet, got to relive it again, and then here we are back racing now again. Trying to go chase it again, and it's going to be tougher this year. I'll tell you that. A lot of these cars have stepped up, they've done their homework, and it's got Bucky working harder. It's got me trying harder. So it's going to be interesting 2026 year. I can tell you that.
That's fantastic. Yeah, you want to do well. You step into a Bucky Austin car, you expect to, if it doesn't work, you have to wonder if it's the driver or the two.
Oh, I always joke. I go, the driver in this car is set up for failure. You can't make it any better than what it's going to be. The team does a phenomenal job. Bucky does a great job tuning the car. And obviously the previous drivers he's had, they've won championships. So it was like if we did win, all the eyeballs were on me. It's like it's my fault, you know. So a lot of pressure, you know, for sure to do, you know, do my job. And I think we did good. There were a couple, you know, a couple times driver did screw up, but you know, it's a team deal. You know, we just keep working harder together and trying harder, and but it's not getting easier. I'd say that, you know, and but I think that's what's making it more exciting right now, especially in this class. You know, there's a lot of guys have stepped up, like I was saying, you know, watching Mike Peck win the March meet. That was cool. You know, that was really fun to watch family team, but they ran good. They deserved it. They were fast all weekend. Sitko stepping up. Moniz is faster. You know, Todd Plate coming into the zone now. You know, it's gonna be a good year. And obviously there's all the normal heavy hitters, Jeff Friend and Moniz and all these other guys coming in, and Boychuk, these guys. It's gonna be good. So I don't know if I'm looking forward to it that way. I'd rather just go out there and just beat them up, you know, from Q1 on, but it's gonna be exciting for the fans.
Well, champions do champion stuff, and good old Bucky, the Northwest hitter, man. You know, the only guys happy about him racing legacy funny cars are the folks at Top Alcohol Dragster and Funny Car rather up in
Yeah.
Division 6, because he was pretty dominant there for a while. You know,
Oh, yeah.
after his nephew, who did
Yep.
very well, obviously. Well, that's so great. Well, I mean, it's just a great series out there. But tell us a little bit about, so you know, you have a great top alcohol experience as well. And I also want to talk about your Nitro, Big Show Nitro cars and speedboats. But how difficult was it to race? I noticed that you race both the Heritage Series and the NHRA Sportsman Series in top alcohol, running some great numbers there and doing well. How tough was it to make that transition? And even in the dates, did those all work?
It is difficult. Luckily, the biggest thing I have going from here is two great teams where everything's prepared right, not having looking over anybody's shoulder. It's ready to go. So that's one basically problem solved right there. Two good teams. And the alcohol car, unfortunately, I actually tuned that car as well. But once again, the team has the car prepared. It's ready to go. Chris Pearl, Mike Pavey, Andre Marek, they work on the car. It's ready to go at all times. Same thing with Bucky's assembled a great team. It's always ready to go. So I did it at Pomona for the first time last year, and a lot of people were looking at me like, "When's you going to screw this one up? You know, what's going to happen? What's going to happen?" And because you got one car's 1,000 foot, you got one car's quarter mile, you got one car you rev up at the starting line. One's from an idle, one's a pedal clutch, one's a glide, one's a 2 speed, one's a 3 speed. So a lot of different variations what to do. The burnout process is different, you know, staging process is different. Where you shift on the racetrack is different. Where you shut the car off is different. So I was nervous, you know, but I do really good at trying to prepare myself mentally. When I first was getting into this funny car thing, we used to have the car in our garage, and I would go sit in the car at night, 2 in the morning, put all my gear on with all the lights out, and go through the motions, everything I had to do with no one there. I think my dad called me one night in the garage. He didn't know what was going on. He goes, what are you doing out there? I go, I'm practicing, man, going through the motion. So I still do that mentally. I'll drive down the freeway in my pickup truck, you know, eyeballing something where you got to throw the chutes or pick a point where you got to shift. And you'd make the run over and over and over in your head. And I think that kind of helped prepare me a little bit. In Pomona, we almost pulled it off. I was number one qualifier in Bucky's car, number two in the alcohol car. Made it to the final round in both cars. And I had gone 12 years without losing on a hole shot ever. And I lost on two hole shots in 12 minutes. I couldn't believe it.
Oh
And they
no.
were both by, I think one was 3,000, the other one was like 2,000s. It was like killer races for both of them. Just raced the wrong people in the final, you know. So, but I still looked at it as a successful weekend. You know, I was able to do both. I think I made 5 runs in 3 hours on Sunday. I never took my driving suit off. But you just figure it out. You know, when they start the car, you just close your eyes, deep breath, and remember which one you're in, and you got a job to do. And just do your job and focus on that one job. And Jackie Frick always told me, she goes, you only need to focus for, you know, 30 seconds at a time. What are you talking about? You got to do more than that. She goes, no. She goes, you may goop all you want, but from the time the top light comes on to the parachutes, it's roughly 30 seconds. She goes, I just need 30 seconds of your time. So that's typically 90 seconds a day for 3 runs. So if you look at it that way, it's not too difficult. So I've always just kind of tried to look at it, you know, keep it simple, stupid type of thing. And I'm going to try it again here next weekend at Pomona, drive both cars. So both teams know. I don't know how excited they are. I'm extremely excited. You know, I like the challenge and something new. And my goal is to leave with 2 trophies. You know, I don't know if anyone's ever done this before, so that's what I'm going to try to make happen.
I'm pretty confident that would be the first time, certainly in those two categories, if not at all. I guess Austin maybe once in top alcohol and top fuel, perhaps. I have to go validate that.
Yeah, he
Pat.
did it in Topeka '91. He won Top Fuel and Funny Car. He did it again in Phoenix in '92. He won both those. Yeah, so he was definitely the first to do it for those two classes. But I don't know if anyone's done it with I guess a nostalgia car and an alcohol funny car
Yeah,
at the same time. Basically, two funny cars at the same time. So that's
right.
even if it is a real small little victory with that, I want to be the one to have it.
We'll take it. It's not like one of those guys saying, "Hey, I have the world's fastest lime green 55 Chevrolet." We
Exactly. Yep.
start making little segments, but no, that's perfect. You're legit. I Most folks have difficulty, I would say, concentrating and getting it right with one car. Man, to do it with two, and especially with those completely different setups is really amazing.
Yep.
Well, let's toss another one in there because you've also got some big show Nitro Funny Car experience. Tell us about some of the cars you've driven there.
Yeah, a family friend of ours for years, Chuck and Dell Worsham. They were always down the street from us. Where they worked out of their house for years, and my dad at the time was building cabinets, so they were also on the boat racing side of it, helping people. So knew them for a long time. My dad did all their cabinets and their trailers, and then when we started funny car racing, we had a lot more in common to talk about. So Dell always helped me along the way with whether driving, car setup. We bought a new car from him in 2011. Actually, he helped us scale it and build stuff for it, along with Grant Downing. And so we were always real tight. And an opportunity came up for me. He goes, man, I want to go keep running this car because he had started driving, full time for other teams. He goes, kind of want to keep my car out there, keep my dad going. So an opportunity came up to get my license in the car at the end of 2014. And it was an experience. It was fun. We're limited on funding and parts at times, but Dell always gave me the best he could for what we had. And got licensed in the car in Vegas, went to Pomona, and had some issues, fuel tank issues, and the car was catching on fire, but made the highlight reel. His Ron caps on fire, taking out cones and all that. But he ended up, got the car fixed, went back out and made some runs. And the joke is, I've only lost to girls in fuel funny car racing. Courtney Force and Alexis. I've beaten guys, but I've only lost to girls. So I need to go back, try to redeem myself on that. But what a ride, man, for those cars. I mean, it's totally different than what we do between the nostalgia and the alcohol car. It's almost like a cartoon effect. They don't leave the starting line too much harder than what we have now. And you think you got it. And then about 300 feet, it reminds you don't. And it leaves harder 300 feet than it did back at the starting line. And it's like almost like a cartoon. The car just starts just driving away from you. You're just trying to hang on to it the whole ways. And it's so fast and things are happening so quick. And I only ended up getting, I think, 22 or 23 runs total in a fuel car. And I wish I had more to try to see if I could really catch up. But I don't think I ever fully caught up to the car. I think the car was always ahead of me. Knowing what I know now, especially for the amount of runs I've made and the cars that I'm comfortable with, I needed some more laps for sure. So
Right.
maybe one day get it back, but that'd be the right opportunity because what I have now, it's real hard to replace. But it was definitely a thrill. I got to say I had my license. I got to go race against the big guys, and like I said, won a couple rounds here and there. Got to go travel a little bit, St. Louis and Charlotte and stuff. So I can never thank Dell enough for everything he did for me. We had some sponsors come in and help, but Dell's always treated me right. And he's a good guy, and he was trying to keep his class going, keeping cars out there. So he does good. He's a good innovator at times. He came up with a lot of safety stuff, and he's a smart cat. So I like racing with him a lot. Maybe one day we could do it again.
That sounds great. Yeah, Del Worsham's awesome. Chuck Worsham's awesome. I've known him since like the Tinkerdoy days of the 1980s. But I saw Richard Day driving Chuck's Screamer Corvette back in OCIR in 1977. So, and of course, then James Day is rolling around. So it's this, and Parallax race cars, of course, that you mentioned. So it's all the gang, and it's generational. It's just fun to watch
Oh
from
yeah, my
from a
actually was
wide
fun.
vision. Sorry.
My very first car I had, I didn't know until later. It was a 1989 Kenny Morse car. It was built as a Tinker Toy car for Art Hendy. Didn't know it at the time. We bought it from Sean Bellinger, and then it ended up being one of those old cars. And it's still going. It's running at Funny Car Chaos last week and still racing. So it's still going.
Old funny cars never die.
Yep.
Beautiful Kenny Moore's car, great fabricator, great header guy. Man.
Yep.
Oh my goodness. Well, let's round it out. Let's talk about those speedboats that you get behind every now and then. Tell us how you got into that scene and a little bit about them.
Yeah, drag boat racing's always just been in my family. My dad started doing that, going to the river as a young kid and growing up around fast boats and Parker Strip era, or place where he likes to hang out, and started racing like 1980 and hit it pretty hard till early 90s, once my brother and I started growing up and starting businesses and whatnot. So he kind of took some time off. I went go-kart racing and junior drag racing and all that, but we were always going to the river. So at the river, it's like a joke. Saturday nights, like Van Nuys Boulevard street racing. You'd see all the hot rods come out and guys making passes, and he'd see me kind of paying attention to this. And I'd always be out there watching, as a kid, just watching these guys go. So it just, it was inevitable. It was going to happen. I go, Dad, let's go back trying this again. Or so ended up buying one of his little boats back, and he started racing again, and I started learning about the engine side of it. And but he drove for a while, but he was late 40s, early 50s at the time, and I'm learning about the engine stuff. And he didn't want to pay anybody to do the engines, because if I'm going to pay someone to blow it up, might as well just have you do it. I don't have to pay you. So kind of worked out. So I was a young kid, 14, 15. I learned how to put motors together and how to start working on them, which it was a good experience. Probably cost them a lot of extra money at times. I'm sure that it needed to, but so it just kind of evolved, and got into like 2009. We won a championship in 08, an alcohol flat. My dad driving, I was tuning it. And then at the end of 09, he had to have back surgery, couldn't drive anymore. So that's when decided to make the switch going over to cars, sold the boat, go pay for the car, but still going to the river all the time. So same thing. You'd see these boats out running around at night. It's like, come on, let's go get another one. So it took us a little while. We ended up building another boat, and just as a riverboat. That's what we told, my wife, and told my mom, don't worry, just go on the river. It's going to go play 100 miles an hour. It just evolved 110, 120. Before you know it, there's a race. Let's go race it. I was still racing funny cars actively, sometimes 18, 19 weekends a year. So you can only fit a couple of boat races in at a time. But we still did, and started evolving that and get more and more into it, and brought a class back called Blown Gas Flat, which we run now, and built that up. And there's at times 15, 16 boats there, and it's heads up. First one there racing. It's blown gasoline. Very tough to tune. You could ask Chuck Worsham, Norm Grimes. You could ask Les Davenport, talk to him. Steve Boggs, talk to him. You say blown gas, they all roll their eyes. We've tried it. We're over it. You can't do it. I go, it's a fun challenge, man. Come on. So I'm still trying to mess with it as we go now and running our Brad Anderson motors in it. But it's a lot of fun. We go 140 miles an hour in a 1,000-foot race course on the water. We use a gas pedal at the gas, obviously, and then we use a control pedal to control the attitude of the boat. And they're very difficult. It's like driving a funny car, honestly. You got to drive them all the way down the race course. And if you're not right, you could tip it over. And if you're not right either, you could have it too wet. It slows it down. So it's a good challenge. It's a lot of fun. I mean, I've created a business over it now, so that's my full-time job now. We put these boats together for guys and build engines and do fuel systems for them. But I love it. It's still a passion of mine. Obviously, we're still car racing over here. I don't own any car stuff anymore. I drive for teams now. I'm fortunate with that. But on the boat side of it, it's still it's something that you never really get rid of. We quit 2 or 3 times on the boat side and always end up coming back. It's just our roots. It's what we know. It's what we do. My folks have a place at the river still. I was driving a flat bottom 2 days ago. Brought Bucky out to the river, and my customers show up. Go drive my boat. That's how I do. It's just kind of what I do. So it's a lot of fun. Not the brightest thing to do, but the thrill you get out of it. At the end of the day, it's exciting. 140 mile an hour boat. It's like a frisbee. It's like a frisbee with a blower on it. That's how I look at it. It's unpredictable. You don't know what's going to happen. If you can control it, you did a good job.
I love it. Ladies and gentlemen, we're talking to Shane Westerfield. Start getting your questions ready. Share, like the show, and join the channel. We got folks like Shane coming all the time. And right here at the half hour, we'll go to the Q&A section, and John will ask his questions and yours. So drop them into the chat there. Well, Shane, just amazing. All the different things you've driven. I'm so amazed and proud that you've got this career, starting with your dad tossing the wrenches your way about 13 or 14. But let's go to like your first big run. You've driven both Top Alcohol funny cars, Big Show funny cars, Nostalgia Nitro funny cars. Is there a particular run or race that stands out as the biggest adrenaline rush of your career?
Man, I've thought about that question. We were talking about doing this, and there's so many, different ones, and it's whether it was winning the championships or, Indy. This last Indy last year, the alcohol car winning U.S. Nationals. That's definitely going to be one of the highlights of my career. I went there 9 times and got beat within every round. I got beat. Never qualified well there ever, and just lost in every round before that. So that was definitely probably one of the highlights of my career doing that. Because even when we won the championship in 2017, I won it with the race car in the trailer. I lost second round. I had to have other people basically go beat other cars for me to win. So it was still plenty exciting, trust me, but it wasn't like I wasn't in control. So this Indy thing, to do what we did, we don't get to race that car as much as we wanted. Don't get as many laps. Didn't have the budget like some of these other guys do to go and win. Indy was pretty exciting. It was on my birthday too. Obviously, U.S. Nationals, get that done. That was cool. So there's been good adrenaline moments, and there's been the negative side of the racing too. I mean, we had the championship won in 2022 basically, and kind of good, bad, how you want to look at it. Middle of 22, Rick Jackson owned the car, and he had gotten sick and had parked the car and just said, "Man, I don't have the funding to do this right now," and he had to focus on his health. And so we had to go as a team, go round up some more money to keep it going. And the time the crew chief had gone another direction because he didn't think we were racing. And the four of us rounded up money, and we took the car racing, and we won like 4 or 5 races in a row. And it was exciting. We were doing this on our own. We were like a bunch of kids running around, running this alcohol funny car over the country. We're going to Kansas and Minnesota. We're going to Charlotte. And we were doing good, and we had it. It was over. Had to win a couple of rounds, and got the yips. It just happens. It was my fault. No one to blame but myself. And won 4 races in a row, red light. And Gordon had to keep winning all these races, and he did, and beat me by 1 round. So
Wow.
you got the highs of Indy doing what we did, and you got the lows of it's right here. You got the championship sitting right there, and we lost it. So it's different type of a adrenaline rush, however you want to call it, but yeah, that's what people understand in drag racing, man. When you screw up, you don't get that second chance right there. And it's not like, oval racing or dirt racing or road racing, whatever it might be. You screw up in turn 1, you can fix it by turn 4. Drag racing, you make one mistake and it's over, and it'll humble you at times, just when you think you got it, it'll tell you who's boss. So that was a tough one in 22, but we've rebranded ourselves and back going again. And I think we're better and stronger now. And both teams this year, I think, are going to be pretty competitive. I'm pretty excited.
Wow, that's awesome. It is tough. I mean, because you're not just out there making singles, man. There's the best of the best in the world. They're trying to fight you. And we just all watched March Madness, right? I guess we're down to 4 teams, and every time March Madness rolls around in basketball, I get to explain to people how drag racing works all the time. So we do
Yep.
March Madness like every Sunday, right? And with the Sweet 16. And everybody's tough, and it's just no one's going to give anything away. And it
Nope.
looked like like yesterday with Duke and UConn, they got you at the buzzer once or twice, but yeah, pretty wild. Well,
Yep.
let's talk about, like, we talked about the highs, so let's talk about like something that may have gone sideways, maybe at the track, maybe in the pits, or even towing to the race. What's the craziest thing that's ever happened to you during a race weekend?
You name it. There's millions of those stories. I remember one year in 2018 Winter Nationals, we had just won the championship in the alcohol car year before. Still my program at the time, my families and I. And we come out to the first race in 18, and we were running okay, but just not running as fast. And by round 2, we had won round 1 Saturday night. All right, round 2, we got to step on this thing. We got to go for it. We got to win. And going down there, and a fuel line falls off on the injector. I see it spraying. I'm like, how far can I go? It's going to blow up. And I stayed on as long as I could, and it blew up right in the lights. I'm like, all right. But the wind light came on. Cool. Won the round. So get back. I could get a motor out. So get a motor out, change engines. Don't have time to warm it up. No time to do the computer. Get ready, roll up semis. Going down there right in the lights. It blows up again. Mind you, I'd gone 2017. I didn't hurt a part. We won the championship. All of a sudden now I'm down 2 motors the first race. So we come back, and I have another motor, but I don't have time to put it in. They're calling a quicker turnaround, and I burned a bunch of pistons because another fuel line had rattled itself off. It was detonating itself, what it was. It just started rattling itself loose. So I got everybody and their brothers coming over trying to help. We're switching engines, and I kept going quicker and faster. I had to turn the computer on all day. I had to change the main jet. I had to change nothing. Just kept putting parts in and kept putting motors in. Same thing. Put it together, roll up there, low ET, 540, 270, win the race. Never turned the computer on all day. Never looked at nothing. Just kept running it. I'm like, maybe we learned something here. Just leave it alone, stupid. Just get the fuel lines on tight. It'll be fine.
Like
So
match racing in the 70s, man. Come on.
oh yeah. So that was exciting there. I remember that. But got a lot of carnage into that one. That cost a lot of money. Man, I don't know. I mean, we've had times of trying to get to the races, had a truck breakdown in our where were we? Trying to leave, go to where were we going? Oh, we were in Seattle, truck broke. We got to get to Brainerd, Minnesota. So one of our sponsors was on a logging company in Oregon. So he drives his logging truck up, hooks it up to our trailer, have to weld a hitch onto his truck in a single cab truck and drive all the way to Brainerd while they're fixing our other truck. Go to Brainerd. We heard a motor there. We got to go to Indy. We're fixing this parts over at Forces. Meanwhile, our other truck's done. Got to dump that truck off, go meet in Kansas, drive back, try to finish the race in Indy, drive back home. I mean, we've done stupid stuff like that. I mean, it's, remember Ralph Gore taught me years ago, it takes 5 steps to win. And the first step was you got to get there. And I never understood what he meant. And when you go down the road blowing tires up and turbos in the truck and everything else, that's all part of it. So I'm a little bit more spoiled now. They call me a flying guy, so I don't have to deal with all being on the road and dealing with all that stuff now. But that is half the battle. It's getting to the racetrack, and then organization's key though, man. I know that's one thing key to a successful racing team is organization, man. Because when things go wrong, the teams that are organized, they can make it happen and get back out there ready to go. We were always fortunate. We were always prepared and still are. Both teams are organized, ready to go. For any type of motor change, changing pistons, rods, heads, blowers, I don't care. Both teams are fully functioned, ready to crumple.
That's amazing. It's a program management like nightmare. I mean, people, to plan like a team attempt to go across the country all year long, and then have contingency plans and know who to call and when to call them when
Oh,
stuff
yeah.
goes south. That's who sort of manages that on your
Well, each team has to literally have its own guy, but you travel around long enough, you have spots and places where people have shops, people have friends that have shops. You got to get truck work done, car work done. Bucky Austin's in Lake Havasu right now, working on his car in one of his buddy's garages of somebody met drag racing 30 years ago. So you make contacts all over the country when you get going. And Chris has a little book that he just goes off of. He's got stops in Colorado. He's got people in Indy. He's got people down in Alabama. You just, wherever you're traveling, you just got a lot of friends and a lot of people. The longer you do it, the easier it gets. For where you got to go and where you got to be and how to get stuff done.
Yeah, thank goodness. And thank goodness drag racers are drag racers, man. They'll
They can
help
make
you
anything
out.
happen. Yeah.
Well, Shane, you feel like we want to jump over there to the chat bleachers, so named by Dina Parisi. And I don't know if you know Dina. She's a former IHRA Pro Mod World Champ. Drives a Caddy
Oh, right
Pro
on.
Mod car, but she calls the chat line the chat bleachers, and we stole that from her. But John's been out there tracking folks. John, what do folks have to say tonight?
Well, we're here from coast to coast tonight, and we're all enjoying this interview, Shane. You're just giving a great interview to us. Rob McCabe just said that he is sharing this stream to Facebook. So
Thank you, brother.
it's
That's
out
good.
there
Right
now.
on.
Yeah.
Happy birthday, by the way, Rob. Rob just turned 40, man.
Yeah, happy birthday, Rob. And also, I had a couple of questions for Shane. Those Wallies look great behind you on that wall back there. And it, when did you win your first Wally?
My very first one was in Houston at the regional event, actually, in March of 2013. And it was super cold, super windy, miserable weather, but it was fast. And I beat John Lombardo in the final. I had to beat him on a hole shot. I had a 007 light and ran 5:56 to his 5:53. And I think I won it by like 3 or 4 thou finish line there. There was no wind lights down there, and there's no one down there at the other end, so I didn't know if I won or not. Sitting down there waiting for my crew to come down, and the horn was honking, and that was a good celebration because all my sponsors were all from Houston down there in League City, so we stayed down there for a few extra days to celebrate that one for sure.
Wow, man. So how many do you have since then?
I think national events, I'm up to 18, and then regional events, I think it's 13 or 14. And then on the heritage side with Bucky, these guys, I think we have five of the heritage races so far, and then the championship, obviously.
That's outstanding.
Yeah, it's been a good run trying to keep it going. The best thing you could do is run out of room to put your trophies, so that's the goal.
Right. Well, Rob just also said, he said, I know Shane and Rick Jackson are a tough team in the NHRA Lucas Oil Drag Racing Series ranks.
Yeah, no, we've been we don't get to race as much as we want to. We're getting a little bigger schedule this year. I think we have 8 national events and a couple of regionals we're going to do. So it's these guys that race 18, 19 races a year. It's tough when you don't get to run as much. The notes they get to build up on it, but also kind of an excuse at times. So we're gearing up though. We got a brand new car this year that Tim Fry got us, and a brand new Murph Bikini car. So we went to Phoenix about a month ago, and the car's it's fast. We're low ET top speed, and so it should be Pomona should be interesting. We're going to see if we can go career best over there for sure.
Wow, man, that's great. My question for you is there a significant difference between the kick you get from a nitro car and a top alcohol car?
As far as like the nostalgia car you're talking about,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, yeah, no big difference. I mean, like we were saying earlier, one's the heritage car to 2 speed, where the alcohol car is 3 speed. But the alcohol car, it leaves a little harder at the start than the nostalgia car. They both kind of pull the same, but going through the lights at the finish line. Bucky's got his car running pretty good speed right now. It's kind of caught up to the alcohol car as far as speed goes. But in
Mm-hmm.
the middle of the run, Bucky's car with the nitro deal just makes so much more torque, and it starts ripping your head back pretty good. And you kind of get to the point where you can't see anymore. That's about the time you got to shift. And the farther you go not seeing, the farther you go on the shift, the faster it goes. So I'm still learning a little bit how to drive it, trying to get better at it. But like I said, it doesn't leave as hard, but in the middle, it definitely pulls harder. Where the alcohol car, so much lighter in the front end, and the front end's up, it's dancing. It'll carry both wheels up at times 2.5, 2.8 seconds in the run. So definitely a lot lighter in the front end. You think you're driving it, but you're not. You're just kind of veering it, and trying to keep it down there. And then obviously hit your gear shifts just right, and don't forget to shut it off on time. That's the other part. You got to remember to stop these things too.
That's awesome, man. What about a drag boat? What does that do to you?
Yeah, like I said earlier, it's not the smartest thing, but it's a lot of fun. That's all I knew for years. Going to the river and then watching Dad at the races too. And whole different style of racing compared to. I mean, it's still drag racing in a sense, but so much different than asphalt. We use these little itty bitty 11-inch propellers to bite to the water, and the boat setups we do. It's just backwards of what a car is. I mean, literally the motor's in backwards, so you got to think everything opposite of what you do for a race car. Um, but we've had some success in it. I've won a bunch of races with that, won a couple championships with that, and it same thing. It leaves hard and then it pulls real hard in the middle, and then by the end of it's kind of done in the run. But we're going 130 pretty fast in the run. We go about 140 to the lights, so but 140 on water, the sensation, it's like 240 on land. It feels a lot faster at times than it looks.
Yeah, I bet it does, because you're in the open and the engine is right behind you. That's a whole different deal.
Oh yeah, you're exposed to everything, and the boat goes one way, your body's compensating the other way, and yeah, you're on your own out there too. You got to get it started on your own. You got to get it shut off on your own. It's not like in the car deal. They're kind of babysitting you right to the bitter end. This deal you're completely on your own out there to get it all, make it happen. So that's a whole nother aspect of boat racing that people forget about at times.
Right, man.
Yeah,
Well, everybody's really enjoying the interview and we're caught up for the moment. So keep it going, fellas.
I
Thank you,
appreciate it.
John. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it. Well, let's go back to the first day. So you talked about getting started in the boat. Like, kind of give us a high level overview of your career. Walk us through when you first started racing the boats with your dad and tuning them. But then, when did you decide you wanted to race a funny car, and how did it sort of happen? And kind of walk us through the steps.
Yeah, I mean, we were like I said, deep into the boat race at the time. My dad had to have some surgery on his back, which basically wasn't going to allow him to boat race anymore. So I thought it was my turn. At the time, I was 21 years old. I'm like, cool, this is my opportunity. I've worked on these for a long time now. This is my shot. And my folks go, no, you're not getting in a boat. At the time, that boat was going 170 miles an hour. They're like, no, you're not doing that. Well, what else is there? And they go, well, let's try to go car racing. And I had a short stint of working on Courtney and Brittany's A fuel cars under John Force Racing. So I've got a little bit of car experience, but not a lot. I was just there as a worker bee, just, not really looking at it as if I was going to go racing one day. Just, it was kind of a job, just get more experience on motors and stuff. And so there was a funny car for sale actually around the corner from us, and it was Sean Bellinger's car, which we've all heard of him. And at the time, he'd only been doing it a couple of years, and they were just making the next step to go get a new car. And that was the Tinker Toy car. At the time, I didn't know it was, but found out later on. So yeah, I went and looked at the car and had no idea what I was looking at, and sat in it. I'm like, yeah, we could try. And we had the motors from the boats that we could basically transfer to the cars. And I looked at my dad, and he goes, man, how hard could it be? A lot of guys car race, compared to boat guys. I'm like, all right. And it was a very, very big learning curve. We spent a lot of money, probably didn't need to spend, hurting stuff. And But, you get out there, you start meeting people, and they introduce you to the right people that go help you. We had to go to this guy for fuel systems and, go to Brad Anderson for the parts. And Bob DeVore was big help in the beginning, kind of getting us set up with the right people. And car racers always had this persona of they weren't as nice as the boat guys, basically. Like, oh, they're not going to help you, and they're not going to share secrets with you, which was complete opposite. A lot of guys they wanted, you want to help promote your class, keep it going. If you don't help others that are struggling, then they'll just leave and then just start dying. So a lot of guys saw we were struggling, came over, started to help us, and like I said, Dell was one of them. Got a new car built, and it just kind of evolved. It took us a little bit, and we had to hire the right people to kind of help us go in a certain direction. And by 2014, we were completely on our own, just tuning it on our own, running it, found our own sponsors, and it's still struggling though. We won a couple races here and there, and we earned them. But we were just there. We were like an average car, and just had to look at it from a whole different aspect, how to go tune it, and how to go about it. And I'd say by 2015, we were considered one of the more competitive cars, but it took a while. We had to try stuff, we had to go test, and like I said, spent a lot of money that that we didn't think we were going to spend. And we always laugh. The easiest part of times is making the run. It's finding the money. It's all the preparation you got to go through. We learned a lot about preparing these cars, and you cannot just work on it, on a random, a couple nights a week or on the weekends. You got to work on these cars every single day. And whether you are working on your truck, you're working on the trailer, you're working on the race car, you're working on the engines, you're organizing. Or I keep saying that word organizing because that's a huge part of it, and keep your stuff neat and clean, always prepared, ready to go. So that was a big learning experience. Not that we weren't organized before, but this really forced us to get into that. And my dad was a huge part of that. That was all his program, keeping us going that way. So yeah, just evolved. And before you knew it, we were in the run for the championship in 2017. We were going for it, and ended up, we won. And at the end of the day, it was like, we won 5 races that year at a couple number of qualifiers where most guys that would win, they would always go dominate. And that year that was down to 3 of us, and Lombardo and Gordon, myself, and we were around each other by the end. And, but it was great. That was something that I'll never forget. And we were kind of running out of funds by the end of 17, but I'm like, man, we got to go one more year. We got to see if we can defend this. And almost got it. Ended up finishing second the next year after that. And so by the end of 18, though, we had basically just exhausted all of our winnings and all the sponsor money that we had, and kind of had to go another direction. And Rick Jackson approached me to go drive his car. And it was an opportunity. Couldn't pass that one up, and talked to my family about it. So we basically sold our stuff off and focused on driving for somebody, which was very weird at first, kind of answering to somebody, when I would make a mistake before, the only one I had to answer to was myself. Where now you walk in the computer room and, hey, you always call me Turbo. Turbo, here's what you did. You missed your swap, or your shift was off, this and that. And I want to say, well, like, screw you, you go do it, but you can't, you're paid as a driver to go do your job. And it's like, okay, I got it. I'll do better. I'll work on it, So that was a kind of a transition I had to get used to, to go, when you start driving somebody, you got to answer these guys, they're paying for it. It's their equipment, and they want it done a certain way. So that, which was all good. Rick and I had a lot in common. We both raced boats, both went to the river, and both loved car racing. So it was, I actually really did enjoy driving for him. And I drove for a couple other teams in the middle during COVID. Rick kind of parked his car for a little bit and went to go race with those guys. And so I learned different ways to do it. And then I went to tune a couple different cars, and yeah, we all circled back and ended up back racing together. And here we are, still making it happen. And, get a call from Bucky Austin one day to go car racing, which that's actually a pretty funny story. I'll tell you this one real quick. So Bucky calls me a week before Boise, Idaho one year. He goes, if you want to come drive my car, let me know. And I'm thinking, Bucky Austin, of course I'm going to say yes. So, but I'm like, yeah, hold on, let me ask my wife, let me, talk to the family. So I hang up, call real quick. They go, yeah, of course. Call Bucky back. I'm like, all right, we're in. Where are we going? He goes, well, Boise next week. I'm like, all right, no problem. I'll get you a flight. Great. So I hang up and I go, oh man, I don't have any driving gear. It's all in the trailer back in Indy. No problem. I had a set of keys in my bag. So I had a buddy who lived in Indy. I overnighted a set of keys out to his house. They didn't show up. They don't show up.
Oh,
a couple days go by. I'm like, oh no. So I called the manager on the car. I go, hey, can you send your keys overnight? He goes, yeah, no problem. So now we're getting into like Saturday now. So he overnights a set out, gets them. My buddy goes out to the trailer, puts the key in the lock. He breaks the key off. I go, dude, if we don't get in this trailer, I'm going to find out what Bucky Austin is called the Northwest Hitter. He's going to hit me if I show up with no gear. So I go break into the trailer. So there they are breaking into Rick Jackson's trailer on the side of, in Indianapolis Raceway Parks. They got in, got my gear. But now what? I go, well, don't put it back in UPS. They've already screwed up. So they ended up putting it on a flight, sent it out, got the bag. It all worked out great. Got to the racetrack, ended up winning the event. I didn't tell Bucky that story till like a race or two later because knowing him now, he would have lost his mind. He would not have been good. So when I did tell him, he goes, all right, I'll buy you all new gear. So we don't have to worry about doing this again. That's all right,
Wow.
Cool. One less thing to worry about. So, but yeah, no, I mean, that's kind of been it. I've been very fortunate. I got to own one, drive them, tune them, won stuff there. And then I've driven for people who won races and a couple of records here and there. So I haven't done it all yet. Still more to do, but I've definitely, in my little world, I feel like I've accomplished a lot and just try to keep getting better. I told my wife at 30 I'd be done. Here I am, 38, still going. So, but she's still supporting me. She loves it. The kids love it. They get to go to all the races. So it's a good time with both teams right now. Really enjoying it.
That's awesome. We just need to get Jackson away from the damned computer, and
Yeah.
that's so great. And that's a great card. Just amazing that even what you did on your own, right? So many, look at all the drivers that are out there. Dozens and dozens, if not, certainly hundreds actually of top alcohol cars, and many have never come close. And you're really getting it done, which is it's quite an accomplishment.
Yeah. No, we're enjoying the ride.
Well, let's talk about folks who may be getting started. So, for racers listening who want to compete, maybe if they're even out there already, if they want to compete at a high level like you have, what's the one skill or mindset that helped you stay competitive over your career?
Just surrounding yourself with the right people, and like I said, I was fortunate in the beginning. My dad was always, a good businessman, so when we adapted to go racing, we use that motto, you treat your hobby like a business, and if you run it, look professional, you act the part, even if you don't have the money to do it. It doesn't cost money to clean, doesn't cost money to organize. That's what's funny when guys that say they don't have the money and their pit looks like a disaster, they're not cleaned up themselves. It's like that doesn't cost money to clean yourself up. For sponsors to come up and look at a program, and that's a hard part, chasing the money, so organization, I know I've been harping on that. That's huge. The right people, go to the races, look at what the fast guys are doing. I would say, walk around, you introduce yourself, see how they're approaching it, how are they racing, how are they doing it? I've always done that, and if you can hang around them, you end up being like them. Not necessarily be like them, but see how they have done it and then take your own approach, but you don't go try to do everything on your own in the beginning because it's almost impossible, start working on a car. That's what I did. I went and worked on a car and kind of saw how they did it, and right or wrong or different, you kind of see how they got it done, but it's tough, it's not a cheap sport, and to start from scratch, it's difficult, and you got to have lucky breaks and, pretty much almost everyone has that same story of a lucky break, someone that helped them out. Watching Maddie Gordon right now, it's a great opportunity for her, what she's gone through, but she worked hard, family card, family business, saw how Mike and, her dad and her grandpa did it. And she adapted that and knows how to work on the car, knows how to put motors together. And Ron saw that, he's no dummy, and then obviously knows how to drive. That was a no brainer, put her in the car. She did a great job. So, it's like, that wasn't a luck deal. She earned that. And so I'm excited for her, stuff like that. But, on the alcohol ranks, yeah, I'd say up and comers, go apply yourself, get out there, start working on cars, start trying to round up money. And, it'll happen. If you want it hard, you want it bad enough, you can do it, but you got to want it hard. And it's not easy. And even the ones that are out there still doing it, it's one thing to get there, and that's a whole other thing to maintain it. And I'm telling you, at times, it's almost harder to maintain it than it is just to get there. So just sometimes you look at operation like, they got it, just kind of came to them. We work at it every day. I'm not full-time on either car by any means, but there are people that are on the teams. And I talk to these guys every day, they bust their butt. So it's a lot of work, and just put your head down and dig hard and don't stop till you're there.
Awesome. Well, let's do some shout outs before we wrap. Is there anyone you'd like to thank on the air here? Sponsors, crew members, family, or anyone to help you make that championship season possible, and multiple championship seasons?
Oh man, I mean, the list is huge, and obviously started my family. My mom and dad for giving me opportunity like I got to. I started go-kart racing when I was younger and won a championship there, and I did junior drag racing, got a championship down there, and that's all because of them. I was a kid, I was a fun kid out there just trying to go racing, so obviously with them and getting them involved like they have, can't do without them. And obviously, my wife, my family, they've been great from day one, still supporting me doing what I do, and that's another no-brainer there. They're more excited at times than I am. So that's really cool. And I always tell the people that have trusted me with their cars, I mean, go, Rick Jackson to call me up to drive his car, Bucky Austin, go do that. I drove for the Ruckman brothers, go do their stuff. I help, like I said, other guys go tune their cars. That's been great. And, I've had a couple sponsors been with me for a long time, CP Pistons, Gorilla Rods, they've been great. Blake Brothers helped me for years. And obviously, Bucky's got his Bardell thing with all that. And the newest one with our alcohol car, Tim Fry, Take Two, he's kind of transitioning into an owner with the car. That's what's keeping us going. He bought us a truck, he bought us a new race car, he bought us engines, that's his stuff now that we're racing with. So that's a whole nother opportunity over there that's going to be great for the next upcoming years, with him and everything he's done. So no, there's been hundreds of people that have definitely helped me along the way. Like I said, between Worsham and, DeVore helped me a little bit in the beginning. And, guys, just the random questions, you call Norm Grimes, you can call, Boggs, and they'll still help you and talk to you. That's what makes it great about this. You're out there to beat them, but everyone still wants to help each other, so it's been a wild ride. And, we got DD Construction helping us and Plumbing Concept Meadows. They've been great. And it's a lot of people, man. I can't thank them all. I can't remember them all, to be honest, but we're going to keep trying to find more and maintaining what we got. They're all family at times. That's how we treat it. And Bucky Austin, those guys were down at the river with us last week and hanging out. We were drinking beer, taking for rides in the boat, and it's how it is, And I'm very, very fortunate to have the opportunities that I have right now, and we're just going to keep it rolling as long as we can.
Life is good. Well, so it's tough. Well, let's talk about the fans following you. How can fans follow what you're doing, either social media, upcoming races, or other places they might be able to see the car and meet you in person?
Yeah. No, I got my own, Shane Westerfield Racing on, not well, a little bit of a Twitter, but mainly like Instagram, stuff like that. I try to do a lot there. And Elite Reels helps us, posting stuff on there. Ashley Box does a great job. She comes in, does a lot of filming and pictures for us. And obviously on the Facebook side, I still got my personal page that I try to update people with. And then I got my motorsports page that I do some of the racing stuff, and our business side, what we got going on there to follow us. And so there's a couple different opportunities of stuff where we got going. So between mainly, Instagram, Facebook, you can definitely find us, and more up and coming on the Take Two car. We got some more pages being done there. So I'll link those up once we get some of that stuff going.
That's awesome. And about your drag boat racing site, is that a special Shane Westerfield as well, or
Oh, that's sorry. Westerfieldmotorsports.com. Yeah, that's for the shop. We got kind of going on there, updates. And I got a t-shirt program on there that people do. You get a new t-shirt each month with a different design on it and stuff like that. So if people want to go sign up for that, they can go check it out. And then pictures in the shop, what we build and manufacture, and always starting boats up at the shop. So a lot of people dig that. They can see that on Facebook or on the website as well. So yeah, go check it out and go see what you think.
Fantastic. Well, Shane Westerfield, thanks so much for visiting with us, man. This has been a lot of fun, connecting the dots over the years and hearing all these great names. And congratulations on your success and on the championships. And good luck in Pomona, man. Here you go, trying for another twofer.
I'm going to try my best. We're not just going for the beer. So hopefully we come out with 2 trophies at the end, and we'll be celebrating that one for a while if we can pull that off.
Awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, Shane Westerfield, your 2025 Heritage Series Funny Car Champion. And that's just the latest one he did. Have a great rest of your week, sir, and a great season. We'll see you somewhere down the road.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Let's say farewell to Shane, and let's turn it over to JB for this week's JB's Take and the Racer of the Week. John?
Thanks, VP. Am I unmuted? Yeah. My pick for Racer of the Week is Bill Bierman from St. Louis, Missouri. Bill's creative customs shop is world class, turning out a fleet of mind-blowing hot rods. Bill sent me some great information about his history, and I'm proud to feature him tonight. I will deliver this information in first-person format, exactly as Bill told me. Growing up as a kid, I was always around cars, drag strips, and car shows. My dad, rest in peace, Pops, drag raced when I was young and was always working on his race car. He built his own engines, transmissions, and his own cars. He got me into building model cars, which I did all the time. I would spend most of my time in my room which I was told to go to often by my mom because I was always in trouble. At about 12, my dad taught me how to fix and repair lawnmowers. I repaired and sold many to neighbors and friends. I also cut many yards because I wanted more money for faster things. I started airbrushing at the age of 12 and sold them at a local hobby shop where I also displayed my models. When I was 13, I learned to drive with my uncle. He was always a big influence on teaching me many working skills to make money and to help people out. Knowing how to drive early was awesome. A friend and I would take our parents' and neighbors' cars out at night when they were home and fly around the neighborhood in the car. At 16, I saved some money and bought my first car, a '69 Rally Sport Super Sport Camaro. The car was a little rough and had the slowest small block of all time. It was a 307 two-barrel engine. I had already been driving for a while, and it was a slug. I had drove my dad's Grand Prix SJ and his 72 Blazer with a 375 horsepower 350, 411 gears in the front and rear. Great night adventures before the age of 16. My dad taught me minor body work and helped me build a high-performance 327 with high compression with a solid lift cam and a tunnel ram with an 850 Holly. I wrapped that around a pole one rainy night. The wheelbase was 6 inches longer on the driver's side. It was totaled and I parted it out. After a search, Dad found me a Vega. It already had a blown-up small block, a 4-speed, and a Don Hardy 12-bolt Positraction with 4 11s. We put my engine in it with some better driveline parts. It was a rocket for a kid in high school. I blew my engine up and my dad suggested a big block. My godfather happened to have a 375 horsepower 396. We rebuilt it with a bigger cam and other goodies. We didn't like how the engine sat so far forward, so Dad handed me a torch and I moved the firewall back a foot. I ripped the rear end out a few times and put ladder bars and a roll bar in it. This is one of the only cars I sold besides a big block 66 Chevelle. My next car was a '69 Supersport 396 El Camino. It ran great with some help from friends. I knew some old guys running a sand Jeep and killing the competition. They sold me a big block intake with a nitrous system hidden underneath it. That was before people knew about that stuff. I did quite well at the track and on the street in St. Louis. That car became a custom painted big stereo show car, and I still have it some 40 years later. That's about the time I started my custom auto body shop, Creative Customs. One of my best friends, Rick, set me up with a very talented young kid named Rob, who now owns Matthias Race Cars. Rick also went to school with a close friend named Renee. I have now been married to Renee for 34 years. Behind every good man is a great gal. Rob and I worked many years together doing custom paint and building race cars. We separated and he opened his own shop building his own race cars. My dad and I went to some nostalgia drags and were watching blown alcohol cars. I told my dad I was going to build one of them. He just laughed and said, "Sure you are." Well, I found a racer that had 4 Henry J's. I had to buy all 4 of them or no deal. This became the orange taxi Henry J I raced many years. I gave the body to Rob to build my car. This build was one of his first full tube chassis cars, and to this day he is still working building amazing hot rods. The Henry J has a 427 cubic inch Chevy, 1312 compression, an 820 roller cam, Dart heads, a 1471 blower with a buzzard. It is one of the fastest, most thrilling cars I have ever owned and driven. If you get a chance, look it up on the web. I have been to many tracks racing over my years. Gateway was our local track. Memphis, Pink's All Out, where I hit the wall with my Stewed and kept going. Indy, the Suicide King for many, many years until I got kicked out of Good Guys. Oops. Bowling Green for the Hot Rod reunion with the Henry J and the Studebaker. It was cackle fest fun. Sykeston with the Henry J and the Boot Hill Drags, the Jeff Pitzinger Memorial. The track was too narrow for the Stewed. Mocan with the Model T, the T-Bag, the Suicide King, and the Henry J for the hokey ass message board drags. That's HAMB drags. And Byron, the Meltdown drags with the Henry J and the Suicide King. Cars and drag racing have been such a big part of my life. In the early days, it was about racing and friendship with fellow racers, building and thrashing on cars with friends. As I got older and piloted the Henry J around tracks, it became basically an exhibition car. From the moment I fire it up with its distinctive sound, pull it around to the line, people knew it was time to get to the stands and be ready for a show. It's a thrill to put on a show for all the fans and leave them smiling. He said, thanks for featuring me on Racer of the Week and letting me share my passion with everyone. From Bill Bierman, also known as Wild Bill, also known as Baron von Bierman. Well, Bill, you sent us an outstanding story. It's been great getting to know y'all and be your friend. Thank you. We wish you good luck, safe racing, and the best of times in the future. Everybody stay safe and well. You are the most important part of this show, and we love you all. It's a great way to spend an hour together on a Monday night. And we'll see y'all next time. God bless America. Back to you, BP.
Thank you, John. Wow, that was a great racer of the week. Looks like Bill Bourbon. I guess his thing is to salute it. If it don't salute that, stick a blower on it.
Yeah.
It's pretty great. Good stuff, man.
Oh,
Let's
I was totally blown away by the quality and the beauty of the cars that he's built. They're
yeah,
just incredible. And he
and
sent me a dozen more that I didn't have room to put on the graphic. It's just unbelievable.
wow, yeah, there's just every shape, size, and color. Pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Well, that's good stuff, man. Well, let's do a couple of segments and wrap this week. But I just want to let everybody know that YouTube is going to be going crazy for us. We are blowing up. We have 92,000 followers now, where a little over a month ago we had 17,000. I want to thank Sophia Roveda, who's been rocking and rolling, putting these little clips up, the shorts. We will do some for Shane Westerfield starting tomorrow and put those out one a day. We've been having a lot of fun making some for Maddie Gordon, which Shane just mentioned, and in the interview we did with her back on August 4th. So those clips are up. Of course, McKenna Bold, we had hers up and just finished. We Sophia just let me know that she's done a bunch for the show we did with Ida Zetterstrom. So I was chatting with Ida this week over the message and told her to look out for them. And of course, really enjoyed the interview that Nitro Alley did with Ida last week. If you guys haven't seen that, look it up. It's a great breakdown of what it takes to race Top Fuel. And of course, we had that ourselves when we talked with Ida earlier in the year. So those shorts are coming up this week, and we have lots more to go. The plan is to take all 60 or 70 shows that we already did on YouTube and create shorts from all of those. And then we're going to go into the archives and pull those 350 shows up from Facebook. And then there's another at least 150 that we did way back in the Racers Reunion days, which are audio only. So it's going to be interesting to see how those things are going to break out as shorts, but we'll figure it out and we'll go. We have John's beautiful posters to illustrate all of the shows that we don't have with live video. So we're going to keep building the YouTube channel and having a great time. Let's go on and talk about upcoming guests. Next Monday night, ladies and gentlemen, we're into April already, if you can believe it. Matthew Leonard, the Nitro Rat Fuel Ultra driver, is going to be joining us. That's going to be a lot of fun with a special guest as the racer of the week, as I understand it. On the 13th, Ryan Oler and Braden Davis, Pro Stock Motorcycle Racers. John, you had a thought?
Yeah, BP, isn't Matt Leonard from Australia?
His dad certainly is. I don't know if Matt is from there, but his dad was very famous in Australia
Okay.
as a blown racer, and we'll find that out. That'll be question number one.
Well, I put an Australian flag on his graphics, so
Beautiful. Well, that's appropriate. Yeah, his dad was one of the greats, and he's got a great legacy. You know, it seems like almost all drag racers are multi-generational. It's awesome. Um, Thank you, sir. And coming up on the 20th, Liz Leggett, who's got 9 land speed world records and a freelance photojournalist, and just a cool person. Looking forward to chatting with her. She does a lot of stuff. And coming up on the 27th, Chris Miner, the drag racer, sand drag racer, and farmer, because he's the son of the great Larry Miner. And we'll find out what it takes to keep things rolling in Chris's world. And coming up in May, Mike Peck, just mentioned by Shane Westerfield. Mike had won the March meet with the Instigator Funny Car in the Heritage Series. On the 11th, we have Butch Hill from the Nostalgia Drag Racing League. On the 18th of May, Elon Werner, one of the good guys out there, one of the top PR pros in the sport of Werner Communications and the NHRA Bracket Bonanza. If you guys have had a chance to play some of that, and Memorial Day off. But then when we return on June 1st, Steve King of Pilot Racing, the Pro Mod champ, and he's got a show called Boost and Bullshit with Jason Harris, who we've had on recently. So we'll hear all about that from Steve. And then talking to Miss Kay, she's got lots of folks ready to line up for subsequent weeks. So getting ready for the rest of the year. Let's talk about lost friends, folks. One to mention this week, Russ Parker passed away on the 26th of March. Russ was a racer and a former Canadian IHRA tech official, very, very well regarded. Farewell to Russ, and our condolences to his family and many friends, of course. So with that, it's a short list this week, but I always love that. John, any thoughts from you on the show?
well, first of all, this was an outstanding interview that Shane Westerfield gave to us tonight, and we're all wishing him the best in the 2026 season. He's got a clear shot at another championship, and I'm sure he'll get it, you know. And I thought I'd point out that on April the 6th, Matthew Leonard's backup girl is Remy Woodard, and she's going to be the racer of the week. She's got a land speed bike that she races at Bonneville. So we're going to have a combined element of two best friends on the show that night.
Awesome. That's fantastic. So yeah, looking forward to it. And thanks to Kay for getting us lined up. Kay, by the way, was just out, I think in Las Vegas this last weekend. Put some videos up on Draglist, so go check those out. Lots of fun. And we may take those and slice them up into shorts as well. Um, Appreciate it, my friend. Let's do a wrap. I want to thank Shane Westerfield, who was awesome, John Bockelman, Kay Turkelson, Sophia Roveda, Pete Moriello, Rob McCabe, happy birthday, brother, David Oakes, Mel Bashort. By the way, David Oakes just put up some amazing photos from PDRA, South Carolina. Take a look at those up on the front page. Thanks to Ron Toombs, John Mernon II, Dave Waslowski, and Jeff Gilder. Also, special shout outs on Nitro Alley, and thanks in heaven to the big man, Danny White. Please like, share, and subscribe, folks. Let your friends know we're out here. Want to also thank Radio Bob for covering us on his radio show, fitting us right in there between the Grateful Dead music and all the other cool stuff that he features. And then finally, let's say farewell. Next Monday night, Matthew Leonard. At least the former Ozzy, his dad certainly was, but the Nitro Rat Fuel Altered. And we'll find out what it's like to race on that Heritage Series with as much power as a funny car, but nothing on top of you, and a very, very, very short wheelbase. So, folks, have an awesome week. On behalf of John and Kay and the rest of the gang, my name's Bill. We'll